In this video, we're going to be diving into JavaScript operators. These are the building blocks for any logic in your code. And on my screen here, I have a whiteboard and also the console to go over some example problems. Now, the first one I want to cover is arithmetic operators. And arithmetic operators are a lot like mathematics. So that's going to be your addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all of those that you might be familiar with. That's going to be arithmetic operators that you can perform. And we can actually see that if we go to Visual Studio Code. We can check out some examples in the console. And what we have here is a variable A assigned to a value of 10 and a variable B assigned to a value of 3. And we can see each of those return in the console. So console.log A plus B, so 10 plus 3 is 13. 10 minus 3 is 7. 10 times 3 is 30. Multiplication is going to be that asterisk. 10 divided by 3 is 3.33, and division is going to be that /. You have 10 modulus 3, which is going to be 1, and that's going to be that remainder. So whenever you want to get the remainder of a number dividing into another, you're going to use the modulus operator, which is that percentage sign. And that's essentially 3 times 3 is 9, 10 minus 9 is 1. And so that's what we're getting here as the remainder. And then we have a to the power of b, which is 10 to the power of 3, which is 1,000. And to do exponents, you're going to do 2 asterisk marks. And so that is arithmetic operators. Now the next one we have is comparison operators. And comparison operators are used in decisions and conditionals in JavaScript. And we can see those in the console here. And I have some examples here. So with comparison operators, we have one variable declared to a number, assigned to a number. X is assigned to 5, and Y is assigned to a string of 5. And we can see those comparison operators in action in the console. We have X, which is equal to Y, so 5 is equal to 5. This is going to be loose equality, and you will see that come back as true. So even though it's a number and a string, we're going to go ahead and still see that as true in the console. We have next strict equality, which is going to be 3 equal signs. So that's going to come back as false because Y is a string and X is a number. And so that's why it's coming back as false. We have next up not equal to. So X is not equal to Y. And that's going to be true. Sorry, that's going to be false because it's of loose equality, because X is a number and Y is a string, and so that's why we're seeing it as false, because they are equal under loose equality terms. Then we have strict equality. That's going to come back as true. They are not equal because one is a number, the other is a string. Then we have is X greater than 3? Well, it's 5, so that's going to come back as true. And then we have is X less than or equal to 5? And that's going to come back as true because it is equal to 5. So that is comparison operators. Now the next one we have is going to be logical operators. And with logical operators, this is where you can combine multiple conditions. It's essentially allowing you to build even more complex logic. And this is going to use logic operators of and, or, and not. And we can actually see those in the console. Go over those. And we'll see that right here. So we have 2 variables. We have variable is adult assigned to a value of true, and we have a variable has ticket, which is assigned to a value of false. Now with logical operators, we have and, or, and not. And is going to be 2 of these symbols. And it's going to be, is it an adult? Are they an adult and they have a ticket? Well, both aren't true. Only one is true, so and is going to be one. They should be both true, and so that's going to come back as false because only one is true. Then we have is an adult or has a ticket. And so this is or is at least one condition is met, and so that's going to be coming back as true because one of the conditions is met, one is true, and so we'll see that there. And then we finally have the not operator, and the not operator is that exclamation mark, and so that's going to come back as an opposite. So is an adult is true, so it's going to come back as false. It's going to be that opposite mark. So the and operator is when both conditions are met, or is when one condition is met, and not is going to be the opposite of what comes out. So it's going to be true, it's going to be the opposite, it's going to be false. So that's logical operators. The next one we have is assignment operators. And we've already seen assignment in earlier videos of just, us declaring a variable and assigning it to some sort of data, some sort of value. But there's also other types of assignment operators that you can do in addition to that. And so we can look at those examples. So we've already seen in previous videos, we've seen assignment like so. Let score assigned to a value of 10. So this is the standard one, but also you could do some combinations. So you can use plus, multiplication, minus to update the value of an assigned value. So we're saying let's update the score to plus 5, so 15, and then times 2, so 30. And then we're going to show that in the console, and that's why we get 30 here. And so these assignment operators allow you just an easy way to update values using shorthand versus doing it more robustly. Okay. Now the next one we have is the ternary operator. And the ternary operator is going to be really useful for, it's like essentially like a mini if else in one line is what you can think of it. So we have talked about conditionals in a way, but ternary is going to be great to do one-liners with if else. And so we'll see that here as our example. So we have a variable assigned to a value of 20 for the age, and then a variable for message. And so we're essentially saying if for the message, if the age is greater than 18, which it's 20, then they're an adult. Otherwise, they're a minor. And so with the ternary operator, using a question mark followed by two values of if something's true, otherwise if something's false. So push back if this is true, then push back the first one, otherwise push back the second in the console. And so that's what we're doing here, console.log message, and that's why we're seeing adult. So the ternary operator is that question mark followed by two options and separated by a colon. Lastly, we have the type of operator. And with the type of operator, this is going to give back the type. And so we will see that here, and this can be useful in your code when you're working on things. It's to check what type of data you're working with. So we have two examples here. Console.log, well, what's the type of the string of hello? Well, it's a string. And so we'll see that string there. And then console.log type of 123, well, it's a number. And so this can be useful in your code if you're trying to, get the type from, some data. So then that's it. That's a quick overview of operators in JavaScript. And in more videos, we're going to go into this more depth, more examples, and expand our knowledge of JavaScript. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.